What is up, YouTube? Today we are going to be talking about. No, I'm so sorry. Okay, that's just my instincts. I don't know why I did that. I feel like because it's my first YouTube video, I want to, I don't know. That just felt natural, I guess. But my name's Colton. I'm gonna be talking to y'all about the chakras, the chakra system, and how you can attain that to your life and add that as a benefit, or like a spiritual practice, if you will. Basically all you need is 1 week and you can change your life. Okay, hear me out, right? Basically what I do is I start on Monday usually, because there's 7 chakras, there's 7 days of the week. Then I just start on the first day of the week, and then I work my way up. But what I do is I start at the base chakra, the chakra that you're gonna start at, which is the root chakra. And when I start on the root chakra, I'll imagine red, like the color red. And then I think about, how can I transmute fear energy and negative energy that I feel about myself. So such as like insecurities about myself, or, stuff that I'm not necessarily confident in, maybe my physical, I guess you could say. But that's the first one. And then I'll channel the chant that I'll say is Lam, and I'll just say that while I meditate. And then also when I do the root chakra, I try to do 432 hertz frequencies. I feel like that is the best one to start with, just because that is the root chakra. That is the root chakra frequency. And so when I listen to these frequencies, I'll have my headphones in, and then I'll just sit in my room, with my legs crossed, and I'll sit in the dark, and I'll just imagine, the energy from my root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And then I'll imagine me raising that energy and making it, higher and more energetic, if you will. And then also I'll like imagine like a circular pool of energy that's red, that is very, very high, that is very, glowing and luminescent. And I'll picture that like growing almost inside of my body. So then that way it's like me unblocking that chakra. And then that goes crazy. I'm not gonna lie, I feel so healed after I do that. And usually I do one per day. And so I'll start with the root, and then I'll work my way up to the sacral chakra, and then the solar plexus, and then so on. But basically, yeah, so the root chakra just deals with like security within yourself and safetyness, how to transmute fear into feeling safe. But then the second one is going to be your sacral chakra, and that one's going to be orange. That one's going to be an orange color. And so when you work on the sacral chakra, you'll usually imagine orange in your head and try to like picture that throughout your entire body, which helps me at least. And then that one's going to deal with your creativity and your sexual energy, because your sexual energy is what's going to create. Your sexual energy and your creative energy go hand in hand. And usually for that one, I don't know the exact frequency. I think it's like 528 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But I do believe that it's a higher frequency than 432, because 432 I think is like the lowest one. But it's like one of the best ones to start with. But yeah, so with that one, I usually chant Vam. So I'll be like Vam. And they say that it's like Vum, but I say Vam. I don't know. That's just me. You do whatever, feels natural, obviously. But basically that one's gonna help you transmute sexual energy into creative energy, and it's also gonna unblock that chakra that deals with sex, feeling, lustful, and, not, transmuting that energy into creation. And yeah. So the third one is going to be your solar plexus chakra, which is going to be like in your stomach area. And basically that one's going to deal with your intuition and your instincts. That chakra's color is going to be yellow. And so with that, you'll just, imagine yellow being in your head or whatever. And then, you want to chant the words, or the word Ram, which is again rum. I don't know why, but I say rum. I don't know. That's just me. So I'll be like Ram. And then with a frequency, obviously, I just look up solar plexus frequencies. I don't know exactly what number that is, but I'll just look it up on YouTube. And listening to frequencies while I do these chakra meditations really helps me lock in. Really helps me like go so deep into my meditations. And the more you rate, like the higher chakras you go, the more your energy is just gonna skyrocket, and your spiritual understanding will triple when you do this. Your love for yourself will just grow exponentially. But yeah, so the solar plexus is going to deal with gluttony, like food, being able to fast and being able to put energy into creation rather than consumption and eating consistently. And so when you fast while working on the sacral or the solar plexus chakra, you will excuse me, so sorry. You will become, what was I saying? So sorry. Your intuition will just grow exponentially because it's how they say trust your gut. That's kind of what I think of when I think of like the solar plexus, is that it deals with your intuition. It deals with like how you feel things and how you kind of know certain things, I guess you could say. But yeah, so then the fourth one is going to be your heart chakra. That one is very, very important for me, at least, because that one deals with love. That one deals with compassion. That one deals with understanding and understanding other people. And understanding yourself, knowing where you come from and how you feel, and being able to give love to other people. And that chakra is going to be green. And when you transmute that energy up to your heart chakra, the love that you have will just flow out without you even trying. You will just be naturally more loving to other people. And so I think that one is a beautiful, beautiful one. I think it is one of the most important chakras. But that one's going to deal with unconditional love and self-love. And then the chant is going to be yam, which again is yum. I don't know why, but I say yam. I don't know. I just go yam. And then when I listen with frequencies, the chanting is just so much more powerful, immensely more powerful. And then the fifth one we got is the throat chakra. And that one's going to deal with speaking your truth, being able to talk and be able to flow words out of your throat better. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they don't, when they have a throat blockage, they can't express themselves authentically, or, in a lot of certain situations. Like some people have stage fright, and that could also deal with, like insecurities and stuff within yourself. But I also feel like it has to do with your throat, because if you had an unblocked throat chakra, you would be able to express yourself so much better. And so I think that one is also very important. But that one's chanting is going to be hum, or ham, I guess, Ham. I just say hum. I'm like hum. And I don't know exactly what frequency that one is. I just look up throat chakra frequencies. And once you get up in these higher frequencies, to me, it doesn't really matter what number frequency you listen to, as long as you're, focusing on the colors and, that this area of your body. You put your mind in that area, and you kind of just try to focus on feeling that energy. And again, I try to imagine like a pool of energy, like a circular pool of energy, just flowing with colors and moving, I guess you could say, like a super powerful circle with just so much energy. And then that kind of helps me to raise that energy and make it stronger within myself and kind of unblock that. But yeah, so that chakra is going to be blue. And so when I work on the throat chakra, I try to imagine blue throughout my entire body. And then yeah, that one's very, very important if you're trying to, express yourself authentically, or even just talking to other people. Working on this chakra is really going to help you when it comes to that. And then the next one is my favorite chakra of all. It's the third eye chakra, or I call it the first eye, just because it was developed before these two eyes were. When you were inside your mother's womb, this chakra was developed before these two eyes came into physical, creation inside the womb. And so I think of it as the first eye, but it's also called the third eye. It's called the Kundalini, whatever you want to call it. The color of this chakra is going to be purple, and it's going to deal with all-knowing, Christ consciousness, if you will. And from my experience, when I've raised my energy to my Kundalini chakra, I have experienced what I would call a heavenly state. I've also called it, like, the best way I can describe it, and it sounds weird when I tell other people, but you'll know when you feel it, is an orgasm. Like, I am orgasming through my breath, and I can just feel it pulsating right here, and it feels amazing. Like, I genuinely feel the closest to heaven I ever have in my entire life when I transmute my energy to my Kundalini. And so that's the best way I can describe it, is, orgasmic. But when obviously you may not get there in the first 6 days, because this is the sixth chakra. But when you practice this and you consistently, work on your chakras and, raising, like I imagine in one breath, I just, like, all the way to my Kundalini, and that transmutes so much powerful energy, and I feel unstoppable. I feel that I could take on the world when I do that, when I focus all my energy here. And so it's got to be my favorite energy of all time, or my favorite chakra, I guess you could say. But yeah, that one's gonna deal with all-knowing and Christ consciousness. And so when you transmute that energy, a lot of people say that you are achieving Christ consciousness. And I personally agree, because I have experienced it firsthand. But, obviously how you do it, everybody's going to experience it differently. So, let me know how it goes. But yeah. And then the last one is going to be your crown chakra. You're the highest chakra that you can achieve in this physical vessel. Obviously, I believe that, or I feel that we have like 1,000 other chakras way above us. So I don't believe that we're just 7 chakras. I feel like we have like 1,000 more that just go beyond the stars. But that's for another video. But basically, when I get here, peak, it's so good. But that one's gonna deal with spiritual understanding. You're going to become a lot more spiritually in tune with yourself and others. So when you do raise your energy, be aware that you won't see life the same ever again. Your life will completely change. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes that is very, very healthy to have, because it truly changed my life. My life will never be the same. And I'm grateful for that, but sometimes it is, a blessing and a curse. And so I definitely, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously don't do it if you're not ready, but if you're ready for your life to absolutely change overnight, or I guess in 7 days, do these chakra meditations, and, meditate for 10 minutes. Just do 10 minutes a day, every day, and just focus on raising your energy in your chakras and, really transmuting that energy. And yeah, but the crown chakra is pink, but it could also be white depending on, what you want. A lot of people say it's white. A lot of people say it's pink. It doesn't really matter. It never will. And then the chant is going to be the same as the Kundalini chakra, which I didn't talk about, which is going to be Om. So you're just going to go Om, and then try to imagine energy is just pulsating right here in your crown chakra and your Kundalini chakra when you're at those chakras, like I guess Saturday or Sunday, because if you start on Monday, then Saturday and Sunday will be the Kundalini and the crown. And so when you do that, it truly does feel amazing, blissful, like a heavenly state, everything. And so, take this with what you will. This is obviously my first YouTube video, so I don't know how well I orchestrated how I voiced everything, but I tried my best, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.